So Egypt versus the UK. If I had to do a list of the pros and cons of England, the pros and cons of Egypt, it would be 90% favourable to Egypt. But there are a few things that I do miss about the UK. One thing I never really expected, but the biggest thing that I probably miss is the rain. There's nothing better than on maybe a Saturday morning when you're not working, you wake up and you can hear the rain against the windows. Or if you wake up in the night and the rain against the windows, and it's just such a lovely, it's just lovely. Something I never heard. Because it rained that much in the UK, it's something that I never really appreciated fully. The other thing is, I'm a big person, I love the sea. And where I used to live, which was the northeast of England, that's where I finished up, we had some huge waves. And I used to like to go down by the sea and feel the power and the big waves crashing. Here, I don't know if you can see my background, but it's quite shallow, so there's very few waves. I know that's a silly thing. And probably the biggest thing probably is, well, there's two. There's not much to do in Hurghada. Really not. In comparison with the UK, you can learn to fly an airplane, you can learn to fly a helicopter, you can learn to sail boats, you can go to golfing, tennis, indoor ice skating, skiing, cinemas. You have got museums, places to visit, places to see. Here, not so much. In Hurghada, there's two shopping centres. You've got the sea and all the sea activities, which are still, that by itself is incredible. You know, go out diving, scuba diving, learning to dive, the glass bottom boats, the daily trips. There is a cinema, City Centre Mall. There's a cinema there. It's worth a visit. I'd encourage anybody to go and have a look at City Centre Mall. You've probably been to Centre Mall, going out to Salashish, but City Centre Mall, which is slightly north of Hurghada, is a great place to visit. And then the last thing is the availability of stuff. There's a lot of things. It takes you a while to kind of maybe start missing them, but there's a lot of things that you can't get here. Things like baked beans, obviously sausages, baked pork products, the availability of being able to go out to your local PC World and buy a laptop of a certain spec, or a smartwatch or a smartphone, or all those type of things. Choice here is extremely limited, and that has many pluses, because material things here, you don't need them. I mentioned this before. I wake up every day, I'm a 7 out of 10. I go to bed most days, I'm a 9 out of 10. Some days I'm a 10 out of 10. What I say about the UK is the UK is trying to kill you. No. The UK is doing a very, very excellent job of ending people's lives prematurely. You look at the suicide rates, you look at people who, the amount of people that are dying in the 40s, 50s, 60s, the medication for social anxiety, the medication for depression, the medication for this. I was on 7 medications before I came here. Now I'm not on one. Not on a single one. So there are pluses. There are pluses. And when I look at the news from the UK, I just think it's just trying to wind people up. I look at it and there was a minister bragging, we're just spending £16 million on building 1.5 new homes. And the interviewer said, but aren't those all just going to be for immigrants that are coming over because it's too expensive putting them in the hotels? And he went, blah, 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 blah. And he said, no, you don't appreciate it. There's a housing crisis in the UK. I said, hold on. I've got Rightmove. You've got Rightmove. We've all got Rightmove. Yeah, I could go on and buy 1,000 houses today. There's no crisis. There's no crisis in the housing crisis in the UK. Anybody can go and buy one. These houses are all for people that don't have the money to buy them. So if you're a young couple and you've been working and you're trying to get on the council waiting list, you can't do that anymore. Because they're all allocated to people that have never put a pound in. And I could go on and on and on. So the pluses against living here, obviously then you've got the obvious ones. 365 days of sunshine. You can't really put a price on that mentally, how that affects you. When you wake up and you know you can walk out in shorts and t-shirt virtually all year round, it's mentally massive. And the economy. It's not quite cheap. It's not quite as cheap as a lot of, I've seen a lot of TikTokers and other social media guys put on. That it's so cheap, it's so cheap, it's so cheap. You can do it extremely cheap, but if you want to maintain a similar standard to what you may have had in the UK, depending on what that standard was, it's not quite expensive. It is significantly cheaper, and certain aspects, my utility costs for my apartment here are about £10 a month. In the UK, they're 250, so that is massive. Food, however, has gone up, has gone up a lot. But it's still, but then you've got the people and the positivity of the people, and you combine all that together and it's night and day. I would struggle to go back to the UK. I struggle even go back for 2 or 3 days. In fact, last time I booked to go back for 2 weeks. After 4 days, I cancelled and came back. So yeah, there's an air of despondency. And that is because the UK is trying to kill you. The government is trying to kill you. The weather's trying to kill you. The media, everything about the UK, there's such an air of despondency. And after all, the UK is one of the most inhospitable places weather-wise to live in. You can't live there unless it's artificial everything. Artificial heat, artificial light, artificial entertainment, artificial clothes. Everything's artificial. Here, there's a lot of guys that actually live outside. Got one of my friends lives outside, and they can do that. So yeah, just thought I'd give you my little take on my 2 and a bit years, my experience so far. Yeah, it's yeah. So if you're considering, I'm going to do a video on if you've been for 2 weeks and you think, I've ventured out from the all-inclusive. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and maybe come for a month. Watch that video, the steps you need to do, renting an apartment, where to rent, kind of an apartment, the direction the apartment faces in, very important. But 3 months maybe. Are you going to rent on a compound? Are you going to rent on a additional street? How are you going to do it? So stand by for that. Please like and subscribe, because it's only going to be a small channel. It's very niche. And if you don't subscribe, then when the next one comes out, you might not find it. So I would appreciate that very much. So lots of love. Ciao for now. Catch you later.